to avail of the opportunity this evening to make reference to and update the House and indeed set out the procedures in place across a number of key agencies and services under the remit of my department, namely the Immigration Services and Garda Síochána, the Court Service and the Irish Prison Service, some of which have been referred to earlier in the course of the statements. One essential characteristic that all of these services have in common is the high degree of interaction between their personnel and members of the public. It probably is unnecessary for me to say that a level of particular care is needed. In this regard, my department has established a cross-functional COVID-19 response team comprising senior officials from within the department and from the agencies to which I've referred. Firstly and briefly, Immigration Services. The current EU advice is for borders to remain open and for persons to follow the travel advice issued by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. From an immigration perspective, there are a number of aspects of the system which involves engagement with persons moving into the state or non-EEA nationals engaging with the system. Obviously, the most visible of these is at airports, Dublin Airport in particular, where the border management immigration officers of my department immigrate approximately 16 million persons per year. There is a very close working relationship between the staff at the airport and the DAA and the HSE. Immigration personnel closely follow all advice from the HSE, and in the event that a suspected case arises, the clear protocols laid down are carefully followed. The Immigration Service of my department are also working closely with the HSE on a daily basis across a number of areas, including accommodation centres for international protection applicants, the public offices used for registration of immigration permissions, and the international protection offices. Along with guidelines on good respiratory and hand hygiene practices, hand sanitisers have been provided. COVID-19 risk assessments have been issued to each of these service areas, and together with the HSE, my officials are ensuring information is kept updated on a daily basis and any changing circumstances are responded to in an effective manner. With regard to the visa regime, in line with other EU member states and overall Chinese government policy, the public offices to accept visa applications in China remain closed until the 16th of March, and the matter will be reviewed in advance of that date. In accordance with best practice, contingency planning is also on hand to ensure that priority immigration service will continue to be provided should the circumstances warrant. In relation to Garda Síochána, on Garda Síochána, closely following HSE and Department of Health guidelines when issuing advice via on Garda Síochána CMO to staff on the matter, and will continue to do so. In this regard, Garda management have plans in place to manage on a case-by-case basis any issues that arise in the workforce, which totals over 17,500 people. Garda Síochána continues to operate as normal, will keep their procedures when dealing with members of the public under continuous review. In relation to the court services, again, there is a contingency planning group to review its plans to meet the challenges caused by COVID-19 in Ireland. In this regard, business continuity plans for courthouses and business are being updated and reviewed. Official HSE guidance is now issued to staff, and there is a communication plan in the course of being developed in respect of staff and court users. In relation to prisons, the Irish Prison Service continues to work closely with the HSE in developing contingency planning specifically for the management of COVID-19 should it present in prisons in line with best international practice to reduce the risk of exposure to staff or prisoners or visitors and indeed the wider community. This includes the maintenance of safe prisons with all essential services, including inter alia staffing, healthcare, catering provision and the maintenance of plant and equipment. The Irish Prison Service has dedicated its Executive Clinical Lead Infection Control Manager to preparedness in this regard. A comprehensive information pack has been made available to all Irish Prison Service staff, and an educational module has been completed. In conclusion, I want to acknowledge the leadership and the commitment and the dedication of Minister Harris, his team in the Department of Health and right across the HSE. In relation to the Department of Justice, I likewise commend all our officials and staff working on the front line in order to deliver the public services at such a time of challenge. Thank you.